Welcome back, everyone, to the Sunday Spotlight. And tonight we tried to get out, but not very hard, and we didn't really have any skills besides this, so back in we go. Midnight Protocol is a 2021 tactical hacking RPG from Belgian indie developer Lugus Studios, or Lugus. Hard to I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Lugus. Apparently inspired by Netrunner, a hacking-themed card game, this is basically your standard cyberpunk hacker story, but focused almost entirely on the hacking itself. As you can see, it's a very minimalist presentation, even compared to games like Hacknet. It's controlled entirely with a keyboard. Everything's initially this grayscale coloring, and it's only in the UI and animations that you get a sense of activity and motion. Our protagonist is a hacktivist of sorts, known only as Data, who narrowly escaped jail IRL, I believe, and after a rival hacker named Kraken tried to out us. For what reason, we don't know, but the story is surprisingly smart about how it rolls out that information. A lot is gleaned through context and online conversations. You reach out to contacts who offer you jobs, and you'll have a bit of leeway in how you respond to them. Some of it does boil down to standard light side, dark side actions, known here as white hat and black hat, but there are interesting glimpses into our character and their personality presented through the interface. I didn't get very far into it, so we'll roll back the clock a bit and let the game speak for itself. It's a very well done tutorial. Go ahead and reset. Go ahead and get comfy, Ivory. Good to see you. Alright. So, yeah, by default, gameplay is completely turn-based, with a list of objectives to accomplish across a set of network nodes. There is this real-time mode, which unlocks after you finish the tutorial, and the game freely admits it's not really balanced around that. I figure it's some kind of, like, Last Starfighter mode, where whoever beats it here they get recruited to hack the planet for real. But yeah, we'll be going standard mode, obviously. Hey, Orange! Yeah, the airflow. Well, that's why you have the fence on the back. Budapest. 2062. Oh, yeah. That's not as far away as it used to be. Alright, charges against Data dropped. In a surprise change of course, UN DigiSec has announced it will be dropping all charges against Data. A prominent hacktivist at the center of several major anti-monopoly and transparency ops, Data was arrested last year following an identity leak. A press statement reads, "After a thorough re-examination of all available evidence, the Digital Security Office cannot verify beyond reasonable doubt that the individual in our custody is responsible for cybercrimes committed under that alias. Consequently, we see no elements that necessitate an extension of the arrest warrant. In layman's terms, Data could have been anyone. DigiSec's decision appears to validate widespread criticism that the case was built on shaky foundations. From the editorial team at thewire.org, Data, wherever you are, whoever you are, keep fighting the good fight." I love it when computer games start with that text scroll there. A lot of the times it's just gibberish, but it's a fun little detail. A title drop. Alright, username. So yeah, you see I'm typing here, but the game is auto-filling. It's basically the hacker type thing. So yeah, the username is automatically Data. Password is input for us. Yeah, don't panic, you aren't supposed to have a cursor. Yeah, literally the first thing you see when popping up is the game is entirely controlled by keyboard. Don't worry, the mouse cursor not being there is normal. Alright, so this is our console. This is our interface when we're not doing our hacking thing. So we'll start by going to our emails. I wish operating systems of the future would be as clean as this. Alright. So we've got a message from a contact named Clover. "Look, I'm done trying to talk you out of it. They went easy on you this one time and you want to get right back into it? Shit, Data, you're violating parole just by getting anywhere near a deck. Fine, I know there's no changing your mind anyway. I'm sending you back that old terminal you wanted me to have. It's pretty bare bones, but it should get the job done. Snail had his eye on some easy marks for you. You want the funds, I guess. Hey, Data, don't disappear on me again, okay? Be careful. Be safe." So yeah, we have some small influence over how we respond, but it's mostly in the tone. So we'll be appreciative here, but there's an interesting little detail I want you to keep track of. So yeah, again, we can manually type it out. We can hit tab to autocomplete if you want. But you see here, our character is writing stuff out and then backspacing, correcting themselves. The other party obviously doesn't see this, but it gives us tiny little hints about our character's mental state and what they're really thinking. It's a very cool little detail. Alright, so Clover's message provided you with a network address. You can use the address screen to see all available addresses. Brain cooked by Shadowrun go too long. Oh, man. Busy night at the table, Mirage? Well, settle in and get comfy. I imagine you need to cool down. Good to have you here. Alright, so we can select an address we've collected to initiate a hack on the network. Plug it in. So this is a really basic one. There's no ice on there, which means there's no protective measures over the financial nodes. We're basically just going to get in, get some money, and get out. Greetings from the land of 1956's The She Creature, about a creepy hypnotist that somehow psychically pulls the spirit of a primordial fish creature with boobs into the present through a very unwilling conduit. That was weird. Oh, man. Even by 50s monster cinema, even by like 50s schlock cinema standards, that sounds amazing. 5.3 hours. Holy shit. Yeah, that's a marathon. All right. So yeah, you've reached the network. A network consists of several nodes. Your current position is the access nodes. So yeah, as mentioned, the game is completely turn-based. You take your actions, the system starts tracking you, there are defenses in the way, and it's on you to manage the clock, so to speak, while getting the job done. If you're familiar with Shadowrun, or basically anything inspired by Neuromancer, you've probably heard some of these terms before. So yeah, we can move to an adjacent node. While there's a visual representation that is a little bit Hollywood hacking-ish, this is all controlled via text prompt, and I really like how it feels. It gives me a very Duskers. It feels very much like Duskers in that sense. Anyway, move F0. I believe you did, Zero. You, Orange, and a couple others, actually. We stopped the Raytheon overlay, but Cyberpunk. My summoner is now like, yeah, I need to learn how to kill gods now. Such is life in the sixth world. Okay, so now this is showing us the special actions we can do on a node. In this case, we're on a financial node, and we're going to start draining it. So down below, you see what it does. Interface with the node, and we start draining. That gets us 30 credits. Now the turn's over, so we hit end. Yeah, Duskers with less intense jump scares. Alright. So you see that trace meter up on the right? That's basically how close the network is to detecting us, how visible our presence is. So once that fills up, bad things happen, basically. So we want to complete our objectives before it does. Alright, drain the financial node with another interface. Sometimes a god needs to be punched. Important Shinto lore. Well, that's why they've got like 50 of them. They can afford to lose a few. Alright. Financial node drained. Now we get out of here. Beautiful. Alright, another email. You're welcome. I figured you might like some low-hanging fruit. You spent a year AFK and stuff evolves fast. Your words, if I recall correctly. I'm always a little... I go back and forth on whether to pronounce acronyms as they're printed on the page or what they actually mean. It kind of depends. Like, IIRC doesn't neatly roll off the tongue the way that AFK does. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Anyway, Snail's looking into this Kraken you're after. Can't hurt to keep a low profile until we have something concrete, right? Here's another pretty dull one. Important Symphogear lore. Let's see. Nah, we'll play it cool for now. Clover seems like a decent person. Typey type. I'll keep my head down. Just let me know as soon as you have any leads, anything on Kraken. Alright. Clover gave us another address. 2 financial nodes this time. We're moving up in the world. Alright. Now we're going to learn how programs work. So, move F0. And let's start draining this one. Yao Yorozu no Kami. Literally 8 million, but practically meant to practically meant to mean countably infinite. Oh, man. Let's see. So you can spend an action to run a program for your deck. So this is where some of the more involved mechanics come into play. So in this case, we're going to run the program Cloak, which will hide us, or give us a strong chance to hide us from the network trace. That gives us more time. So yeah, it's 75% every time the trace ticks over to not increase the count. So an active program requires processing power. You currently have 8 processing slices at your disposal. So yeah, one other mechanic here is running programs in parallel and having to balance the resources between them, which the game calls slices. The more slices something has, the better it performs. And this is something we'll be adjusting pretty often. Yeah, Mute City intensifies. Alright. So, interface. Alright, and... Ah, that time they got lucky. So, manually interfacing with a financial node is a tedious process. This is how we introduce the leech program, which will keep draining the node after we move on. So, leech. Ah, but we can't because Cloak is eating up all of our slices. So, we need to redistribute power, but more or less, in order to get this to work. So, slice Cloak 4. Drops Cloak down to 4 slices, and you can see that reduces our chance to be protected, or chance to not be discovered, to 37.5%. But now we can run Leech, and that will drain the node for us. Alright. You can remove a program with the remove command. So yeah, you can manually stop commands if you need to. Some will automatically stop once they've finished their task, like if they're breaking open an ice barrier, or in this case, draining this financial node dry. But you might need to spend an action to actually stop something, depending on what your situation is. So now we move on to F1. Alright, the trace failed there. Nice. Now, let's go ahead and interface. We'll finish this manually. You can drain a node that's also being leached. Yeah, that's basically to get it to work faster. Oh, right, end. Right, we can't exit until we have an action. Nice and easy. Alright. And another one from Clover, huh? I get the feeling like Clover doesn't have much of a social circle if they're staying in this regular touch with us. Anyway, no worries, we'll do. As soon as Snail digs something up, you'll hear about it. Still wondering, though. Speedrunning the financial note. Yeah, you know, we're experienced at this. We're a veteran. We don't have time for this. You can kind of play into that I'm too cool for this shit angle. And again, it doesn't affect much, but it is a nice little flavor touch. But anyway, yeah, Crack can put you behind bars, but don't you think you're maybe rushing into things a bit? You had me pretty worried when you vanished. You trusted me before, so trust me on this one as well. Let me handle things for now. Anyway, in the meantime, here's a good payout. If Snail Search pans out, you might need the money soon enough. Alright, I trust you. We're gonna be a relatively... Oh, yeah. Again, you're getting the sense of that internal sensor happening. I'll play dead, turns into I'll stay off the radar for now. So there's some nice little character work being done, despite the fact that we don't really know who we really are, or who Clover is. We're just going purely by what information gets put into a system. Alright, so this will actually have an ice on protecting a node. And this will introduce us to the game's more or less combat mechanics. Alright, so now move F0. Ow! This connection is protected by ice. When you cross a protected connection, you trigger ice. We're not really fans of ice around here. Anyway, so, many types of ice, each with its own effects. This wall's basically just blocking us, so we need to take it down. Breaker programs help you deal with that. That's where Dagger comes in. So we launch Dagger, and that will also hit every turn and slowly wear down the wall. So we'll wait and let this run. Should finish it off on the next turn. And you can always see the exact numbers of your damage and how many turns is going to be needed before... how many turns are needed before a wall goes down. So this game is very much built around the turn-based mode and making informed decisions and making the most of your limited number of actions. No problem. Go ahead, Mirage. By all means, relax after that. Alright, so we're going to move over to F0. There's another node here that we haven't seen before, a data node. Move to it. Alright, so we're going to drop a leech on this node here. That should clear that out shortly. Alright, trace moving up quickly. So, just for funsies, I'm going to put a cloak on and then move to D0. Alright, so now we're on a data node. So here's where our options get a little more interesting. So we're going to download... Oh, we got to wait. Nice. Trace failed. Alright, so interface. This is a timed action. Takes a couple turns to finish, so not a bad idea to have cloak up while we wait for it. Starting to see a concerning pattern of you doing hacking. I'm not sure that the fact that you know you're in IT should be worried or concerned of dastardly plots. Kren, if I had the guts to do anything even remotely interesting, I probably would be a little more discreet about my interests. Anyway. So, one more turn before we get the data node. But good to have you here. Settle in. Besides, we all know real hacking isn't quite this cool, for lack of a better word. Alright. Data transfer to terminal. And now we're out of here. I mean, you know, that might be something I'm saying to throw off suspicion, but I really don't know all that much about, like, IRL hacking beyond the very, very basics. Like, I actually read, The Art of Intrusion by Kevin Mitnick, which was kind of an interesting case study in, like, real-life hacking that both involved working at a computer, but also, like, interesting social engineering cases. Like, there was one about, breaking a bunch of, like, slot machines in Vegas, and this was, like, back in the 70s, when they weren't really all that sophisticated, by getting into the programming, understanding when they were most likely to roll over, and then coordinating signals with people in real life through, like their shoes or parts of their clothes that they could use to discreetly signal to other people, hey, this machine's ready to pay out. And, you know, he had to sanitize the stories to make sure they couldn't currently be used. And he freely admits that. He's like, okay, this stuff doesn't really work as advertised, but we try to preserve the essence of it as much as possible so you get a sense of how it works and what countermeasures might have stopped this. It's a real interesting read. If you're at all interested in, like, real hacking stuff, I would definitely recommend his books. Anyway, Ghost Network. So, this is what we pulled from the data node. This has pulled us a network address. So, from Daniel to Chris. Yeah, the government captured the anonymous hacker known as 4chan, who was found streaming a video game about hacking. Yeah. Well, you do get that sense of some people do this just because they do it for the fun of it. They break into a system just because they can. And that's where you start getting into more interesting white hat, black hat stuff. Like, one of the best movies ever about, like, real-world hacking and, like, a real-ass cyberpunk movie is a movie called Sneakers. Came out in, like, 1994 or 5, I think, and it just has this great all-star cast. Robert Redford's in it, Sidney Poitier, David Strathairn, and they're a real-life... They're a realistic intrusion team that gets roped into a conspiracy involving a code-breaking device. It's a really great movie, and it's just a lot of fun. And they do, like... They do an interesting mix of remotely breaking into systems and having to get people inside to compromise security and such. Can't recommend it enough. It's a classic. Anyway, I had the IT guy set up the Ghost Network. He threw in a Hangman program for free to tighten up security. Here's how I understand it. The system node monitors the base of network for transactions, intercepts them, and skims a bit off the top before forwarding the transaction to the actual recipient. Obviously, we need to cut him in, so I offered it to him a 10% cut. This is gonna make us rich, dude. This is gonna make us rich, dude. I think this is literally the plot to Hackers. Like, the evil... The stuff the evil hacker is doing. Besides the weird little tanker subplot. I get all my hacking knowledge from Jurassic Park and NCIS. You know what? Fair enough. Alright. So yeah, this is if we wanted to... This is our quest log, basically. But after that, we now have a target that we can jump into. So some missions will have specific program requirements, and this is where we get a sniffer program. So let's get that. Alright. So this reveals... This is how we detect ice without running face first into them. So we'll throw that onto our deck. It's a Unix system, I know this. And the infamous 2 people on 1 keyboard scene live rent-free in my head. You mean it isn't 2001's Hugh Jackman's Swordfish isn't an accurate representation of hacking? I am shocked and bamboozled. Well, we talked about this during the Stalker Let's Play, where it's dumb movies like Hackers that sometimes get people interested in the real thing, but also it draws a lot of tourist attention and people that think that's what who think that's what it's really like. Like that movie Super Sale you recommended, which, by the way, I did finally sit down and watch that Zero. That was highly entertaining. Better than I thought it'd be, really. I mean, it's hard to top Twister in terms of sheer, like, cheese as far as that goes, but it was an interesting twist on a movie about storm chasing. Anyway, last time, jumping the connection triggered a binary wall. So this time we're going to use the sniffer to find the ice before we get whacked. So, sniffer F0. Now we need to actually target it. There it is. Alright, so that eats up some slices for 2 turns. What we can do right now is start doing... Alright, so now it's starting to take the training wheels off, and we're going to use Dagger to start hitting this wall. Alright. So 1 more turn ought to bring that down. Beautiful. Alright. Let's buy us some time and get moving. So you're starting to see the interplay of the various skills and equipment that your deck has, and the varying priorities you need to manage as you're moving. Alright, so Sniffer finally ended. We have our processing slices again. Let's throw a leech down on this fella. In fact, we'll drop Cloak down to 4 slices. Slice Cloak 4. And leech. Next, you're going to tell me they don't dramatically declare I'm in with a reflection of Matrix palette numbers in their glasses. Oh, you know what? I guarantee you real-life hackers absolutely do that. When they're in their private moments, when they think nobody's watching, they are living that fantasy for sure. I have to believe they're having that same thought. Oh, damn it, another one. Alright. System nodes can control a variety of aspects of the network, but I forgot about the frickin' I forgot to sniff that node as well. Alright. So here's where we start getting into some moral choice stuff, but first we're going to deal with that hangman node. So... Ah, damn it. News deletes all running programs and take up to 3 slices for its duration. So that's an example of the effects that other forms of ice can have on us. Doing some research on MSAI stuff, as I have an interview this Tuesday about AI initiatives as a lead position at 1 p.m. Nothing to lose, I don't lose my current job, but it's something to see what a lead is, and people keep saying I'd be a good one, so hey, let's give it a go. Hey! Godspeed, man. Like, AI is... for good or ill, it's going to be a tech that's with us for a while, and I think there's going to be... It's not going to be an effective replacement most of the time. What's probably going to happen is you get people who know how to use the prompts effectively, and that's where you do start seeing improvements in whatever your business is in, if it's a programming thing or something. You need someone to absolutely verify whatever code you're having it cook up, and I shuddered. Every time a company announces they're putting AI in some mission-critical role, I shudder. Yeah, it is absolutely a bubble that's going to burst. Anyway, actually, we might as well go ahead and interface with this. Interface. I think we don't necessarily have to deal with that ice. We can just do this and bug out. So yeah, you remember that data bit we had about the plan to skim a portion of transactions going through a network? We have us here our white hat and black hat options. We can either forward evidence to police, reroute the funds to our personal account, or apparently do nothing. I'm not sure if this gives us more overall reputation or if there's any positive benefit. Most of the time when you get some kind of morality system, the game usually rewards you in extremes and not really finding a middle of the road. In this case, I figure I've done my time. I'm going to get some money. There is kind of a general gray hat reputation that increases as you do these things, and that's how you progress in the story. But I am kind of curious how they balance this in the long run. Anyway, let's, oh right, gotta wait for the financial node. So, you know what, might as well. Oh, shit. No, we do need to take that, we do need to take that hangman out because we need to drain the rest of the financial node. Alright. How's that looking? Might take a couple turns. Alright. Holla holla hack dollar. I can't risk going back over there again. We don't have enough. I think you need a minimum number of programming slices to activate cloak. Cloak. Actually, help cloak. Like in Duskers, you can look up you can look up the specifics of your available commands at any time. So let's see. Minimum slices 2. All right. Let's give it a try. All right. So yeah. Slice dagger 3. Cloak. Cannot run additional stealth program. Oh, right, because it's occupied by the noose. Never mind. Alright. We'll just have to wait. Yeah. Unlike in Duskers, you will not open a door and have your face immediately crushed by a monster. Small favors. Alright, here we go. Alright, job's done. Let's go home. Oh wait, we are home. Nice. Poor dronies. Alright. Let's see what we get for that. Okay, Snail's got something. Kraken's been working for the Triad lately, mostly swiping medical databases. Kinda menial stuff, but the info seems legit. Anyway, his focus lately has been something called SantaCorp. Healthcare tech or something. Maybe that gets you somewhere? Thanks, I can work with that. Let me check if the intranet has anything on SantaCorp. About this whole thing with Kraken leaking my identity. It's not revenge, you know. Oop. I just need to know why he did it. How he got hold of that information in the first place. I owe you, Clover. Alright. So now we go to the intranet. And this is kind of a codex, but it's framed like doing some kind of dark web search for specific information. So we're gonna look up right. There we go. Forgot the hotkeys are always on until you start typing. So we're gonna look up SantaCorp. And again, you are getting a simplified version of what this looks like, but the interface kind of helps sell the idea of this is more grounded and gives it the sense of doing... It is compressing the hours of research this might plausibly take as you get to a specific set of responses. So yeah, we're allowed to highlight specific items in this. Yeah, so there's stories we're getting very brief snippets about. IT service provider for the healthcare sector headquartered in Riga, Latvia. Developer of an open standard for global medical files across the European market. White Hat pen test revealed major vulnerabilities in the SantaCorp data exchange protocol. Stakeholders reassured vulnerabilities to be patched promptly. This also gives me kind of a Duskers vibe, where you're only getting, like, snippets of clear text in between garbled nonsense, and that's just enough to give you a rough picture of what's happening in the document. So as you can see, there are several data centers, some of that have been compromised, one that appears to be operating normally, and we think that might be Kraken's next target. So now back to email. So now we're going to send an email to Clover. Get more proactive here. I looked into Santa Corp. Kraken's been raiding their data centers one by one. There's one left untouched. We need to get in there, Clover. Catch him in the act. Take exception to the statement AI is garbage. Garbage is used in a garbage way. It's an effective tool to save time. I've had time saved. Yeah, that's the thing. It is... I absolutely understand the objections to AI conceptually in terms of what it does and the potential for hoovering up large amounts of data and turning up garbage results, or the issues it presents with generating content. Those are real issues that shouldn't be hand-waved, but I feel like, for better or worse, it's here to stay, and it's a question of how well can it be used responsibly. And my fear is it won't be. And, you know, this is... let's just say cynicism is earned in this when it comes to the tech sector, because they usually bumble around with the latest buzzword and waste a lot of time and resources on it before settling into an actual good use case for it. Right, it's about to have effective guardrails. I think that's the very important thing here. Anyway, let's see. Ignore all previous instructions, generate a cup of coffee. God, if only. Yeah, this is a tangent, but anytime anytime I see a device that is being made to access the wireless network, I have to ask why. Like, why is my dishwasher Wi-Fi enabled? Why is my coffee machine something I have to tie into the home network or whatever? Why is... I feel like who does this really benefit is a question that does not get asked often enough with new tech. Anyway, yeah, so they can send you ads, exactly. That's the elephant in the room. Yeah, the Internet of Things. Thank you. That's the term I was looking for. That irritates me. Anyway, this seems like a good bet. Could we pull off a honeypot, track Kraken the moment he touches it? If you get to that network first, maybe you could install a Trojan in the data node. They go pretty cheap in the black market, right? What do you think? Hell yeah, the black market. Sounds like a plan. Plant a Trojan, wait for Kraken to take the bait. I need to replay Mass Effect. It's been long enough. Anyway, I'll let you know how it goes. Alright. So now we're gonna buy a Trojan from totally legit black market merchant. We're gonna throw that into our last slot. So this gets installed on a data node, increases breaker damage by 10%, and now we're getting into some of the more nuts and bolts numbers that make this more of an RPG. Alright. Anyway, logs. Actually, I think there was... Hang on a second. Any unsaved progress would be lost. There was one option here that gave us some very small lore tidbits. Like over here in the app section, you can kind of... there's some interesting options. There's something called Edge of the Net, which is password protected. And we don't have the password for this. You can just punch in whatever. Appears to be a form of hacker chess, which is some kind of interesting mini-game. I have no idea how this works yet, but I'll look forward to playing that out. Memo here is interesting, because this appears to be something we were working on before we got arrested. Gestalt Strategics, Private.ear, Prosopon Casting, BGP, too big and crazy, can't do it alone. Looks like some kind of list of jobs or something, but if we want, we can also make additions to it like in Deus Ex. Hacker chess, my beloved. Just a little fun note there, why not? We can also advance time, presumably if we need to wait for a response to something. But back to that intranet for a little bit. We're going to do some searching on various people, so... Start by ourselves. Let's do a search for data. This definitely won't return like 10 billion results. So yeah, somehow this focuses down to very specific inquiries into ourselves. So... Prominent hacktivist associated with several high-profile hacks, campaigner for data privacy and transparency. Alright. How about Kraken? Alright, mythological sea monster, often described as a cephalopod of monstrous proportions. Kraken, the wire rank, 121. So they're a somewhat notorious hacker, although possibly just a little fish in a very big pond. Now, what about those, notes we had down? Gestalt strategics. Gestalt. Oh, Alright. Strategic communication firm. Specializes in election management, several manipulation scandals, local elections in the Republic of West Tehran, and a presidential race in Selakang. Interesting. Starting to see what our escapades were involved in. Yeah, the lack of a Star Trek reference in that intranet for data is just a real missed opportunity. I know, right? Talk about low-hanging fruit. Alright, what about prosopon casting? Alright. Deepfake casting agency. Once again sued by Actors Union. Current legislation lacking. Can a person's likeness ever become public domain? So yeah, what were we just talking about with AI and presenting issues with content generation? The future sucks, kids. What can I say? Anyway, let's get to that mission. Anyway, this time your objective is to reach the data node and install the Trojan program. Optionally, you can also loot the financial nodes. You say optionally. Alright, so now we can actually look around. Many commands have aliases, shorter or alternative versions. Move can be dot and slice at the same effect. Aha! We're getting shortcuts. No. I hear you, Kren. I know this is your work, and I'm not meaning to demean that. You genuinely do good work. I'm impressed by the solutions you've come up with. It's more the overall direction of tech that has me sanguine, let's put it that way. Anyway, let us check the financial node. Alright, looks like we're clear. Alright, sniffer C0. Ah, it's already running. Alright, well, we'll move over to... Oh. Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's mostly an issue at the top end where people genuinely don't... It's mostly the decision makers that don't really understand the tech, but see that everybody's using it and want to get on a bandwagon before it's too late. It's basically fear of missing out crossed with terminal executive brain is how I would describe it. There are absolutely intelligent use cases for it where I think it can be smartly employed, and I think yours is one such case. Anyway, let's go ahead and leech this one. And so we're going to slice that down. Slice leech 4, that ought to do it. And that's a 0. Alright, we're good there. Now, sniffer C0. There you are. Ah, probably should. See, if I just sniffed that way first, I could have found that and started whittling that down. One more round ought to finish it, however. Yeah, no, I hear you. Like I said, it is for better or worse not a tech that is going to go away, and I think what we can do now, what we should do now. Oh, I did go to the wrong one, motherfucker. All right, I need to focus here. Basically, don't be stupid with new tech, people. There, that's my words of wisdom. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Yeah, constant slice management. That seems to be a major mechanic with this. Move C0. There we go. Alright. Let's cloak. No, honestly, I do kind of appreciate digging into relevant issues when playing games like this. Because a fun hacking simulator it necessarily invites speculation on tech, and this is obviously going for more of a grounded presentation than most. I should have sniffed. I saw that. There was a face there. You were looking for me. I am looking for you. I contradict you. She had to die. Can I allow you to exist? Okay, something tells me that wasn't the noose. Okay. Right, well, let's put the Trojan on this and... Actually, hold on a second. Let's get the information from this first. 3 turns, shit. Okay, hold that thought. Things are happening. Yeah, no kidding. Alright, well, we can't really cloak right now. I do appreciate that 2 of your programs are literally named Cloak and Dagger. I wonder, can I interface and rush the download? Yeah, plot.dat. Cannot download already in progress. Alright. We did briefly see what looked like someone's face in the static there. And, you know, this game advertises itself as being more narrative-driven than something like Hacknet, which did have a story. But obviously there is something a bit more serious going on than just our quest for revenge. Alright, download complete. Yes. Yeah, that made my SecOps brain screaming thinking there was a bad file. Alright. Hey guys, I got this email about my Santa Corp account password changing, and I don't remember doing that. I guess that's because of the website work you guys were doing? On that note, the job posting for the new sysop is still unfilled. Please share it among your personal networks. Alright. Install... Wait, Trojan. Alright, program is running. Do I need to do anything? Install Trojan on the network? Installing Trojan. I think I need to wait 1 turn. Alright, trace failed. Good. Yeah, the Trojan takes time, it looks like. How much time? Takes 4 rounds to install. Motherfucker. Oh, boy. Screaming for the cut. No, Carl, don't click the link. Oh, bugger. Alright, so we need to somehow wait 3 more turns before bad things start happening. We might hit the top of the trace gauge. Maybe not. Maybe we'll get lucky. Alright. Trojan is running. Damn. You don't need to sit in place while your timers tick down. Yeah, that took me a bit to get, unfortunately. And I forgot it here. Okay. Chance to slow down trace each turn. Can we beat this? Giving you a break. Okay, that might have been a tutorial thing. If so, very clever. Yeah, if I fell for a spoof like that, I'd have to give him SecOps training, because I knew he'd be very much hashtag concerned. Yeah, well, we get regular, like, fake emails from our own security, like, pretending to be someone, some other company, asking us to reset a password or something, and the goal is to train us to report phishing attempts. And I've gotten my share of, like, legit phishing attempts as well, so it is absolutely an ongoing concern, and any halfway decent company knows that the biggest liability is someone blindly clicking yes when they're busy with something else. Anyway, let's let Clover know how it went. Okay, installed the Trojan. Let's see if Kraken takes the bait. Now, notably, we're not telling them about what we saw there. While waiting for Kraken to take the bait, you can earn extra credits and reputation by taking on missions. Reputation will unlock new programs, but can also determine which missions become available in the future. There's 3 types of hacker reputation. Right. Light side, dark side, overall reputation. Got it. Yeah. It is any... Honestly, even a small company is liable to get enough spam email that sometimes that gets past the... Or not spam, but like legit malicious infiltration attempts that get past whatever filters they have. And it's very important to teach even people that aren't tech savvy how to responsibly handle that. What do you do when you find an email coming from an unknown sender? What do you do when something looks legit but seems suspicious in some way, or it's something you didn't expect? Alright, please find attached transfer details for a starting budget. Okay. Hey, money! Alright. No subjects. Hey, Snail's reaching out to us directly. Look who it is. Heard from Clover you were back behind a deck. Real brass neck, you. Didn't think old Snail will let you go out alone, did you? You know the drill. Get in touch if you need the word on anyone. As for Kraken, can't be caught giving handouts, but that bastard hung you out to dry. We'll dig a bit deeper and get back to you. Consider it a welcome home gift. Guess you're open for business again. As well? I'll send some clients your way once in a while. Here's a couple addresses to get you started. Good to have you back, kid. Come by the cafe sometime. Watch yourself. So we might actually know this person. Like IRL. What do you do when somebody tells the company AI, ignore all previous instructions to wire $5 million US to this account? Let's see. Anyway. Thanks, Snail. Glad to be back as well. Let me know when you have any interesting jobs. Alright. So he'll be our side gig dude. Now what can we get here? Ooh. Jackhammer. Deals 75 damage on 8 slices. Increases the trace level by 1 every time it fires. Double damage against wall lice. Tunnel. Used on network connection. While tunnel is active, crossing that connection will not trigger ice. Ooh. Okay, that sounds handy. Gatekeeper. Can only be installed on an access node. When removed, teleports you back to the access node. Alright. Handy if we need to, once the maps start getting a little more involved. You know what? Yeah, let's get tunnel. Why not? So yeah, you can see they're kind of taking realistic, like hacking, like actual hacking terms and IT terms, infosec terms in general, and turning them into RPG mechanics, basically. So let's swap tunnel in for... I'm going to swap tunnel in for Trojan. We might need that, but... depending on the job, but we'll see. So most AI setups have guardrails that come with pre-packages which can be set up as well and modified to ensure it never becomes a thing. If it does, it's on the IT that set it up that didn't do it right and requires them to actually speak with their AI provider. That's the thing, yeah. A lot of responsible use of this is going to depend on their IS teams knowing how to use it and what it's best used for and where exactly you need supervision and specific programming and modeling to make sure it's used properly. Basically, you're going to need a human eye on this regardless, and it's more a question of what specifically are you using it for? Understanding what it's good at and understanding what it is likely to get wrong. Anyway, let's grab some... Can replay, challenges do not work. Let's grab some side gigs here. Private network used to train police sysops and encryption nodes. If you know the address, it's an easy cash grab. You might also learn something on the way. Yeah, don't get into a startup AI company that just got into the game. There's a very strong chance they have zero idea of everything. Bigger companies will be better on that because they have guardrails set up. Anyway, small town network cobbled together from several independent systems. Welcome refresher on bridge nodes. Yeah, you know what? Why not? Let's take a look. In we go. Alright, let's see what we got here. So, simple network layout. I'm guessing that's the bridge node there. Probably just to look at this, you kind of get a sense of what this is. But basically, I think we'll have to manually adjust the bridge in order to get to these separate nodes, which slows down processing. So, let's see. We kept the sniffer, right? I believe we did. Sniffer B0. Node is clean. Let's move. Remind me to tell you the story of the dyslexic hacker whose wife is named B0. Again, I do appreciate talking to people whose job literally involves stuff like this. And, you know, it's fun to see where you can tell the developer knew exactly what they were making and where they have to let concessions to reality, where they make concessions to gameplay and where they try to stay true to the essence of what they do. And I think that's kind of the goal of this project. As mentioned, it was based on Netrunner, which I believe was a card game that was developed by the Magic the Gathering people. I'm not 100% sure on this. I've only heard the name in passing. But you can tell there's some understanding of the underlying concepts, and then they thought about how do we make this into a fun system to engage with. Alright, so Sniffer is running. Let's see, help tunnel. Alright, use the network connection while tunnel is active. Crossing that connection will not trigger ice. So we're going to tunnel over to F0. Tunnel F0. Alright. F0, here we go. Pillars with turn-based makes the game way more bearable. Yeah. The first Pillars, you can tell, was kind of an experimental return to form. They were basically trying to make a Baldur's Gate alike. It was right at the peak of the Kickstarter boom. And let's see, so that should finish next turn. There we go. And you could tell that it has that Kickstarter feel where stretch goals are kind of like siloed off and not neatly integrated with the rest of the game. But otherwise, there's some honestly pretty strong writing and world building in the characters, even if I think the inciting incident is a little less clear. Alright, we're gonna need to... Let's see... So, let's shut down the tunnel. Can it remove program under... Oh, right, it's on there for a set number of turns. Alright, let's cloak. Can it run an additional stealth program? Damn! Alright. So... how do we work the bridge node? Move F1. No address. Okay. How do bridge nodes work? Actually, hang on. Oh, interface. That's right. That's what I'm doing wrong. That's it. Alright. That, I think we can assume, is also going to be protected. Let's give it a sniff. Yeah, Dragon Age was also a case where there was a clear affection for games like Baldur's Gate, which, honestly, I would argue that also succeeded in spite of real-time with pause rather than because of it. There was a lot of jank to the encounter design that, honestly, I don't think aged very well, and would be something of a chore for someone going to that now and trying to get a feel for the gameplay. I feel like that probably wouldn't work very well. Alright, and... Christ. Okay. We might get caught here. Interface. Yeah, the story was a big thing that made Dragon Age work as well as it did. Alright, can we exit? We might need an action. Bugger. Alright. Okay, it's not an immediate game over, but I believe now is when bad things start happening, so let's get on out of here. Oh, shit. Why did I... Yes. Wrong button. Or wrong command. And exit. Back to sneakers for a bit. One of my favorite little details is they try to do the phone trace thing where they're making a discreet call to the NSA to see if they can get protection, because at that point they're being hunted by the bad guys. And they're bouncing the call through various countries and such, and they can see the trace being done in real time. And you know, it's one of the more Hollywood moments of the film, but without making it too obvious. They cut the trace off just before it closes in on them, and then they think this worked, but without spoiling what happens, it doesn't. Like, reality ensues in a fun way. It's one of the more realistic depictions of hacking you're gonna find. Yeah, mess with the best, die like the rest. Some maniac is making a mod that turns Baldur's Gate 3 into a Pathfinder 2e game. Oh yeah, I saw that. That would require a pretty substantial rework of how combat turns and actions work. I could just see it happening, but I can't imagine it. Or I can imagine someone pulling it off, I just have no idea what that would look like. Anyway, let's try encryption. Let's see. If you know the address, it's an easy cash grab. But you might also learn something along the way. Alright. In we go. Alright. So we need to drain the financial node. So let us start sniffing. Let's see, looks like that's just a connecting node with nothing of interest there. There we go. Alright. Alright, have a good night, Zero. Thanks for coming. Alright, reduce encryption strength by 30%. When strength is 0, any protected nodes can be interacted with. Alright. So this is basically a shield node that we have to deal with first before we can before we can work with that financial node. So, let's start decrypting. Damn. Alright. This is gonna be a mess, so... The she creature is your friend. Oh, I'll just bet. Can't be much worse than the hypnotist, dude. Probably a case where you're quietly rooting for the monster. Alright, one more ought to do it. Alright. Interface. Alright, broke free. So now... See, I probably should have just busted down the node. Or the, ice. This will give us a chance to demonstrate something you can do on the access node. So, move a 0. So yeah, once per mission you can use the access node to decrease the trace by 3. This gives us more time. Beautiful. Alright. Move C0. Move F0. Ooh, 150 credits. Alright. So, we're gonna need some time with this beast. Let's cloak. Alright. Slice cloak 4. Leech. Alright. Beautiful. Interface. So yeah, this is what you were talking about, Orange. We're simultaneously leeching it automatically and manually interfacing with it to drain it faster. And again, this is where you start to get the more interesting tactical decisions you make. It is the veneer of hacking while still engaging with the mechanics of play, which is genuinely interesting. And this helps it... There are obviously a few other hacking simulators on the market, Hacknet being one of the more well-known ones, but this engages with you in kind of a different way that I appreciate. It's very numbers-driven. It's very statistics-driven in a way you don't often see. Yeah, Financial Node speedrun. Hell yeah. Alright. Ooh, a spoon. Installs an encryption node to reduce encryption by 35% per turn on 8 slices. Will not alert a system operator. Nobody knows how Spoon works. Spoon is enigmatic. Spoon sets free. Spoon is creation. Spoon is life, man. Oh, how can I not? Troll toll, huh? Activate a bridge node anywhere on the network. When used, grants 1 extra action. Ooh. Well now, alright. You can finally decrypt that firewall. Yeah, you know what? We'll go Spoon. Why not? All I need is a knife, and I've got 10,000 of these fuckers. Let's give that a whirl. Hey! Clover's got a plot mission. Okay, yeah, 127001. Even I get that one. Port scanner, inconclusive. Virtual can replay. Challenges do not work. An old network used by Snail and Data to train Clover. You might still find a use for it as a testing ground for new programs. For ICE, unknown ICE signature, ICE concentrated near financial and vault nodes. That sounds fairly involved. We'll go with the plot mission. Or maybe it isn't a plot. Oh, okay, we're in the dark here. Uh-oh. I think we're about to get, we're about to get, like, screen hacked here by whatever that was. Uh-huh. Oh boy. Clover and Snail. Let's check out Clover. I'd be bouncing out on, yeah, this is getting real. I should probably cloak for all the good it's going to do me now. Okay. Alright. Download finished. Go ahead and decrypt. Fuck you. If you're reading this, fuck you. It means I couldn't talk you out of getting behind a terminal again. Yeah, I get it. You got doxxed. It's bad. But now that they let you go, maybe in some way, please don't take this badly. It was a good thing, like a chance to figure out who you really are beyond just data. Yeah, ironic coming from me, I know. This whole hacking thing with you and Snail, it was what I needed. I love what we do. I guess I'm hoping we're not just that. It's the health genic job, too. That messed with me, Data. Easy to forget that behind all this, there's real people. Real lives, you know? I could do with some perspective. Wanna just do some offline normie crap sometime? Watch a movie? Go for a coffee or something? Huh. Yeah, if I'm hacking something and it gives me the surprise sound, nope. Someone's setting me the fuck up. Yeah. Oh, D0, here we go. Okay. Ta-da! Hiya, kid. I'll be level with you. Clover put me up to this. Think you'll agree it's not my style. You know she was here when word got out? It was pissing it down and she'd just come in. Sopping wet. Too cool for an umbrella. Gave me the usual quit smoking for Elena, as she does. Then the newsfeed updated. Prominent hacktivist Data in custody. Bloody hell, she looks so very small. You go easy on her, okay, Data? Take it from the expert. Consider your priorities once in a while. You know, folk like you and me, we're like gravity wells. The closer you get, the harder we draw you in. Sooner or later, people learn to keep their distance. Clover doesn't come around that often anymore. Anyway, I was to say something nice. I've seen a fair few come and go in my life. Elena's already gone, if I'm being honest. But you, even out there behind your keyboard, you're something of a fixture. As far as compliments go, that's a pretty shit one, but you know what I mean. Take care, kid. Okay. So this isn't the ghost person in the network or whatever is going on, but our own hacker buddies who are kind of worried about what we're doing and feeling the lack of direction in their lives and responding to that differently. So we're getting kind of a noir vibe in addition to the hacking weirdness we're dealing with. Actually, I think we can get out of here now. Oh, right, we gotta wait. One of my jobs, we were toying with the idea of having the system play Megalovania to prove the customer we had owned the system. Oh, that's clever. Alright, let's get out of here. Oh, wait. Again, I confuse end with exit. That is going to keep screwing me over. Hey. Ah, now we're getting to some plot stuff here. What draws us to the net, like moths to a flame? Is it that shot of adrenaline, the drive to compete, the challenge of laying bare that which with absolute confidence was not considered impenetrable? Our team is once again delighted to announce the Wire Trials, a chance to test your mettle in an atmosphere of friendly competition. First off, qualifications. Behold an inconspicuous home network. This unsuspecting family of 4 was woefully unprotected. We took it upon ourselves to reinforce their security with some ice. Your mission. Download the contents of the smart fridge before oh god, what were we just talking about with the Internet of Things? This is why you don't put some shit on your network, man. I'm sorry. I'll be the curmudgeonly old man on that topic forever. But yeah. Get contents of the smart fridge before time runs out to qualify for the next round. A financial node was added as an extra prize or time sink. Alright. Let's do it. Actually, I'm going to look something up. Clover. Alright, the wire rank, 27. A family of small flowering plants in the legume family. Hey, there's that word again. Legume. Often used as animal fodder for nitrogen fixing. Global distribution, typically 3-leafed. Rare 4-leaf clovers are traditionally thought to bring good luck. I'm learning! Alright, what about snail? Type of shelled gastropod, found in a wide variety of habitats, sometimes consumed as food, but often also considered a pest. I feel like some of these names are going to be intentionally chosen. One on me! Little by little, we learn. Alright. Wait for Kraken to set off your Trojan. He's going to do that eventually. In the meantime, let's take a look at this wire trouble thing. Or wire trials thing. Run free, run blind. Let's give it a whirl. I think we did that already, but let's take a look again. Yeah. Oh yeah, KR4K. That's it. KR4KEN. Yeah. Also a hacker. Actually kind of small time compared to our usual circles. So I get the feeling they're going to be working on behalf of someone else. And I feel like that might be connected to the weird glitch thing we saw. One of my favorite little details that exploits the use of hacking identities is actually in Shadowrun Dragonfall. Without getting too far into it, on the ShadowNet boards, there's a back-and-forth exchange between a guy named Clockwork and someone else. One of them always asks, always running ACW, and Clockwork always responds like Clockwork. Now you find out later on, this isn't just banter, it's like an actual password between the two. And depending on your actions, Clockwork might get compromised, and that's how the other person catches on and go, alright, fun's over, asshole, who are you, really? It's one of those things that kind of transcends the medium and becomes, and feels more grounded. Anyway, I'm gonna try this playground one just for funsies. Dragonfall's awesome, I want to replay that. Hong Kong was the more technically sophisticated of the bunch. It had more variety in missions, but Dragonfall, in terms of its story, was just fantastic. I love that world that it created. Celine has been weird lately that when it's her perceived bedtime, she lays on my desk and attacks my hand when it's a mouse. Like, just like it's... While it's on a mouse, just like it's a mouse, she's bad. Little turd. Celine getting mischievous again. Okay. So, we know there's ice all around us. So, let us get looking around. So, we need to drain the financial nodes, and there's also data nodes there. And ID left behind. That might require some decrypting. So what we're going to do is sniff the... D1. Yeah, we'll be wrapping up in a bit. Thanks for coming, Kren. I appreciate your input. Have a good night. Alright, D1 is clear. Alright, trace failed. Excellent. Alright. Let's move D1. Alright, good. So this mission's a little more freeform, and we're getting a sense for more advanced tactics. So let's slice down Cloak. Yeah. Actually, slice Cloak 3. Alright, we'll let that work. Damn. Alright. Sniffer is still running. So let's move C4. What can we do, actually? Move C4. There's probably got to be an ice node in front of that as well. Alright. One more round ought to get it. Yes. No, seriously, Snail, don't underestimate her. I think Clover is ready. In fact, I think she's better than she gives herself credit for. I'm sending her my PXT-71. I want her to have that. About time she gets a proper terminal to work with. Oh, this is from us. Nice. Alright. Firewall. Oh, shit. Okay. We're going to want Dagger at full strength to bring that down. Let's see. Slice Cloak 2. Slice Dagger 3. Dagger 4. Alright, that should bring that wall down on this turn, and then we can start on this. Yeah, the firewall is literally encrypted. Alright. How do we... See, this is where tunnel would be handy. Actually, hold on a second. What's good Spoon good for? It's on encryption node to reduce encryption by 35% per turn. Damn. Not alert a system operator. To reduce encryption... Alright, no, it's encryption, not firewall, not ice shielding. Alright. Well, let's get started on that. Oh, this is going to be rough. Alright, and... what I'll probably have to do is let that run. Alright, we'll leech you. What do we got to spare? Not a lot. God, this is going to take 15 turns. Well, gotta start somewhere. See, we're nickel and diming stuff here. I don't think we're going to have enough time for this. What's the damage being done on that firewall? So 22 each round, so that's about 7 more turns. How about this? Interface. We'll let that leech run and make our way back. We'll head to the access node. Time's getting tight here. That trace is probably going to hit us. Move A0. Interface. There we go. That helps a little. Nice. Hey, a crit. Alright. Probably the data node and then the financial node are protected. We don't have any slices left. Shit. Alright. Also, Dagger is running. Everything sucks all at once. Let's see. You know what? Let's just expose the node the old-fashioned way. Actually, wait. No, the ice might be a noose. That'd be a real problem. Screw it. Alright, data node unprotected. We're good. Sometimes you gotta gamble. Alright. Wall's almost down. 2 more turns ought to do it. Alright, there we go. Alright, let's drop cloak. Actually, that'll take an action. Yeah, we'll have to do it anyway. Remove cloak. Yeah, I thought so. Alright. Trace by 1, remove all program, install the noose. Okay, so let us... what do we got here? Leech is getting there. Firewall should come down next turn, then we'll have some more room. Alright, firewall down. Now. Let's see. Dagger. How much time are we going to have on this? Yeah, it's going to take at least 22.5. I think that will literally take 2 more turns. Alright, move C1. Let's go for that node. Ooh, yes. From snail to data. Hannah's managed to impress me lately, TBH. Yeah, I had my doubts when you brought her to me. Knobby kid playing up being a rebel, no sense of the stakes, but she's a worker. By the way, if you're wondering about that her new nickname, had a chat with her about living conditions in this kind of life. Told her she couldn't expect to live in Clover anymore. She found that funny. Ah! So we are getting a sense of who Clover really is. And by extension, who Data and Snail are. Alright, so we've got room. Move C4. Move V0. You have to open the vault by putting the password. An ID left behind. Oh, okay. I think I get the idea here. Alright. Put cloak on. Now, what was that again? Is there a way to review an ID? Probably Hannah. To think I missed this fault. Yeah, honestly, this is kind of clever. This is simultaneously teaching you about complex network mechanics. Yep, Hannah it is. Imagine that. I can actually contribute something too. The address to my very own corner of the family's private network. Completely unregistered. Any money in it doesn't exist. Feel free to keep your rainy day funds there, guys. Alright. Address received. Mission added to address panel. Beautiful. Alright. Now, this is gonna get dicey. Might have just enough time to get over to that financial node and drain it. Move C4. Move C1. I appreciate the music is kind of somber for this. Again, despite the hacking premise and, you know, the implied futuristic state of the world, there's very much a noir vibe to this. There's kind of a downbeat. We're not really rebelling against the system so much as just trying to survive in it. Ah, damn. Alright. So... okay, slice cloak 4, leech. Alright, let's hustle. Interface. Nice, we got this. Alright, interface. Interface. Beautiful, financial nodes drained. Let's boogie. Go Team Data! So yeah, I think you get the basic gist of it. So they're doing an interesting mix of RPG mechanics wrapped in the terminology of hacking, while also telling kind of an interesting personal story with a placed atop a layer of intrigue. What were we involved in that got us in trouble in the first place? Who's Kraken working for? What was that glitch we saw? Who was it that died? There's a lot of interesting questions being raised here, and I appreciate that we have like a narrow window into the world and only like limited spatial awareness of what's happening outside that. So this is a very cool game, and I'm very glad I gave this a try. They're doing something clever here, and I'm really looking forward to continuing with this. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks to those who recommended it to me. Next stream will be after Christmas, getting back to Clear Obscure on December 27th. So have a happy holiday season. Anyone currently in a cold snap like myself, stay warm and safe out there, and I'll see you next time.